What's going on, St. Louis sports fans? Welcome to another episode of the Blues Notes Show, brought to you by St. Louis Sports Network. We got a lot to talk about today. We got a few games that we are continuing this incredible winning streak with. We got standings updates to go through, and even some records that have been broken by the Blues this past week, and even upcoming games. So stay tuned with us. There's a lot to go over, and I am sure you don't want to miss a minute of it. Let's go. James, how's it going tonight, man? I mean, we've had some stellar hockey this past week for the Blues, and honestly, didn't really think that we would be where we are at with this winning streak after some of the games that we've had this week. And very close games. Since the start of this streak, they had some kind of off the wall wins, and then this week we've kind of saw the closer, kind of down to the wire wins. What was your kind of thoughts of the three games this past week that we're going to be going over tonight? We got the Red Wings game on Tuesday where we won 2-1 in overtime. The game on Thursday with the Pittsburgh Penguins where we won in overtime 5-4, and then the game last night against the Colorado Avalanche where we won 5-4 in regulation.
It's from the very beginning of this streak is been the pack mentality style of play. They don't rely on a single person to lead them. They lead by example of every player comes in and they all contribute one way or another. We're seeing it from the fourth line to the top line to Robert Thomas all the way down to Radek Faksa. Defense is playing phenomenal, led by Cam Fowler, who's just been unstoppable. And of course, you got the boys between the pipes and Hofer and Bennington that just continue to backstop this team to win after win after win. I mean, every week we come back and we're like, well, this is, 3 in a row, it's 6 in a row, 9 in a row. Now we're at 12 games in a row, a new club record. It's to me, it's unheard of. I've never seen a team be so dedicated. I mean, and I'll go back, the 2019 team was just that way. And I'm not trying to jinx it, but like this team plays that similar pack mentality like they did, and they went to a lot of success that way. And I mean, even when they got that 12th win, even Coach Montgomery said the same thing. He's like, seen this happen before, haven't we, boys? Like, it tells you that the buy-ins there for the team, say every week. But it's true when teams play this buy-in style of hockey, that pack mentality, this is what happens at its best.
Oh yeah, I would. Wow, I can't speak tonight. I'm sorry, but I would 100% agree with you. I mean, the way that this team has been playing, I mean, they get down in games. I mean, they were down in the Red Wings game. They were down 1-0 on that game. They came back, tied the game. That was a crazy game. The game against Pittsburgh was a crazy game. I mean, I thought that game they were gonna somehow or another lose that game until the last 30 seconds, whenever they tied the game up, went to overtime and won it. But I mean, the entire time, I mean, don't take me wrong. The game against Pittsburgh, I legitimately thought that they were going to lose this game. The way that entire game went and how it kind of came down to the wire, I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to come together and actually get it. But that's one thing about this team that over the last few weeks, that since they started the streak and even before, whenever they came back from the Four Nations break, was that it seemed like they had a different attitude to them. They didn't have the attitude of, oh, we're getting down in the game, we're just going to flop over. The last several games, it's been you get into a streak, you get into a rut, then they just find their way to fight back into the game. And it's been refreshing to watch. And, yeah, we haven't seen this style of hockey in quite a couple of years. I mean, they kind of flopped in the 23 season, flopped last year in the 24 season. This year, we thought we were going to kind of see that for the first 2/3 of the season, and then all of a sudden it's like, like all of a sudden they go back on this huge run, and now we're 12 games into a winning streak. And I mean, if you ask me, or I mean, a few people have asked me, it's like, are they just gonna win this out the rest of the season? And I've told many people that, like, I don't want to even put that into a thought yet or anything, because I don't want to jinx the team. I don't want to get any kind of superstitious with this team, because I want to see them do as good as they can. But at the same time, I like looking at the standings and seeing where everything kind of lies. I don't want to see them get into a position that could potentially hurt them going into the playoffs. But that's neither here nor there. Even yesterday's game, that was kind of going back into a little bit how they started with this streak that they got going on. They got out early, got a few goals, and it just seemed like they were more or less on cruise control. Now, yes, they did suffer a little bit when it came to the 6-on-5 hockey, but I mean, regardless of that, if you look at just straight 5-on-5 hockey, the team looked comfortable. They looked like they knew what they were doing against Colorado, who 7 days ago, it looked like that game was going to come down to the wire, and you weren't sure who was going to win that game. And then now, 7 days later, the buy-in is so visible. It is so just infectious with this team that they just go out and play whoever they can play, and they will try to get their wins however they can. And it is evident. I mean, they've done it against teams lower in the standings, teams higher in the standings than them. We're going to have a little bit of a glimpse of that coming into this week, because we got some pretty good teams coming at us this upcoming week. But I mean, seeing how they've played overall these last couple weeks, I mean, I don't know if they have that losing gene in them right now.
No, I really don't think they do. I think that if they lose a game, it's just either they went up against somebody that's a wall, or they let themselves out of it. They have a will to win, unlike any team I've seen, especially this year and in years past. It doesn't matter. They're down a goal, 2 goals. They're still playing hard. They're still finding ways to dig, and they just chip away at it. But what really brings this 12-game winning streak into fruition is that ability to take control of the game at the beginning, no matter what. They did it yesterday against Colorado. Started the goal scoring 49 seconds in. And that's one of the best teams in the league. I mean, they have two of the best players on the planet in Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon. And then they have a whole bunch of other guys that are just as good. So this is not again, this is a Blues team that just has a will to win that's unlike any other. And a lot of teams could look at this and go, how can we replicate this? They're playing with fast up-tempo style, great forechecking. They will themselves into that offensive zone, and they take control. And that's really the testament to these last 12 games, why they've won so much and why they've dominated since the Four Nations tournament.
Yeah. And I mean, even that, but just the attention to detail, I would say too, like you saw in the 2 games against Detroit and Pittsburgh, both of those games, the teams that they were going up against, they forced the Blues to the perimeter of the ice. Right. And they had a hard time getting the puck to the net. They shut down a lot of the Blues offense. It was evident in the Detroit game. And you didn't really see it a whole lot in the Pittsburgh game at first, but then towards the end of it, you really could. But just how they were able to go from that being perimeter hockey style games, and then you saw the Colorado game yesterday, where it was like they took the notes, they took what they did wrong, and 2 games prior to that, and then came into that game and they got the puck in the middle of the ice. They were spacing Colorado out enough to where they could get Bolduc, Buchnevich, whoever they could get in the middle of the ice in order to make plays happen, and they were able to get solid goals just from being able to move the puck around with ease like they have in earlier games in the streak. And it was one of the reasons why that they were able to come out with the victory yesterday.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, honestly, when the dust settles, I think this is the best 5-on-5 team in the NHL. I don't think any I don't think any team can deal with their 5-on-5 play. They can't. As much as they try to, like individuals try to go through it, but they've always got at least one or two guys ready to go after that puck, ready to pounce on it, ready to play defense. They've always got two or three guys ready to go no matter what.
Yeah.
And then you got the other two in the support, no matter where they go. That's how it sets up. Like they bring three guys in, those other two defensemen, or if it's a defenseman and forward, when they get in that offensive zone, they're ready to go. They're set and they're ready to attack. And then they lose the puck, it gets turned over, brought into the defensive zone. You see, there's at least three blue notes out there ready to go after that puck again. And then the other wing, and as the wings come in, ready to for a takeover and to push forward for a breakout. Like that's a testament to phenomenal hard work and a good work ethic by this team.
Oh, of course. And even the fact that, I mean, this is something too that we haven't really touched on in the last couple of weeks, that they're doing this with a lot of substantial injuries. I
Hmm.
mean, they've done. I mean, you had Colton Parayko for a little bit of the run going, but I mean, you've gone without Parayko for most of March, for the start of April now,
Hmm.
and the contributions from the team have been immense. I mean,
Hmm.
you lose Colton Parayko early into March. You just lost Dylan Holloway after the Pittsburgh Penguins game, and it just seems like it's just the next guy, the next guy in waiting, or the next guy going into the next spot to
Right.
take up whatever role he has. And I mean, we've seen Cam Fowler, we've seen Justin Falk do it on defense, and the whole defensive core. Really, I can't really just single out those two. It's been the whole defensive core really stepping up, doing their job, and keeping just either getting puck out of their defensive zone or even getting up the ice with the offense and getting to be a part of the rush and getting goals. I mean, I don't really know very many teams that can really predict that you see a defensive guy going up the ice on a rush and then the rest of the offense coming up with them, and they look at the defensive core guy coming up and they're going, what's going on? Like, this is something that
Hmm.
we don't usually see in the National Hockey League, and you got this Blues team that just does it on a nightly basis with their defensive guys, and it's like they go down, get goals, and it just seems natural to them. But then you have Dylan Holloway going out, and you get the rookie Jimmy Snuggerud that goes from the third line right wing to first line left
Hmm.
wing, and it's just like seeing the contributions that the kid made in the hockey sense, the stick work, and everything that he has contributed just in the first 3 games as a National Hockey League player. It's He's shown such promise, and it just the ceiling for this kid just after the few games that we've already seen from him, I imagine is
Hmm.
so high, and we haven't even seen anything relative to what he's capable of probably yet.
No, he has a natural calmness on the ice. When you see rookies out there in their first few games, their first 25 games, and a lot of them they're gripping the stick, they're trying to make a lot of plays that they just can't because they're here in the NHL. He comes in here and you'd think he's been playing for 5 years. He
Mm-hmm.
just knows where to go, where to be on the ice. He has that unbelievable hockey sense, which is just that skill that you just don't like, you can't teach that skill. You never can. That is something that you just have.
Yep.
Guys like Robert Thomas and Jordan Cairo, even they took a little bit to blossom into that, but they've always had that hockey sense about them. And now you're
Yep.
seeing it with not only with Jimmy Snuggerud 3 games into his NHL career, but you see it like Dylan Holloway, how adept he is at the ice to get to the right spots. But seeing Jimmy Snuggerud doing what he's doing, I am absolutely amazed by it. I was not expecting it. I've really, like I said it a couple times. I said on here, I said to you guys one on one, I thought he's going to play 2 games. They're going to send him down. But luck would have it. And I don't want to say luck would have it, but when you lose guys to injury, he's the guy that's the next man up. I mean,
Yep.
imagine if think if we were like Colorado fans and we're having a great season, and then we find out that we lose Cale Makar, who's your number one defenseman, for the last 3, 4 weeks of the season, and you lose, say, Valerie Nikushin, who's one of your best forwards, for the last few weeks. How
Yep.
do they do that? Do they bring up, a rookie that just graduated, that literally just finished his collegiate career, and say, "Okay, kid, you're coming up to the first line. Let's go." Oh, they're not going to do
You
that.
probably won't see it.
No, you won't see it. But somehow this Blues team's like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's see what happens. And all I can say is that is, again, I'll keep reiterating, a testament to how this team works together. They play for each other. They love each other. Like, they will go to bat with each other. And that's how this is. You don't, when you see that camaraderie and it affects the team and affects the winning streak, when you see that togetherness, that's an unstoppable force right there. And it shows. It shows with Snuggerud, it shows with all of them. So,
Yep. And I mean, just even to like the game that we had that Dvorsky came up and had his first game. And I mean, yeah, you could kind of see a little bit of the nerves kind of there for the first probably couple of shifts that he had
right.
on the ice. But then afterwards, it was just like a bat in the eye, just like getting to work on
Hmm.
the ice for the kid. And ultimately, I mean, whatever, obviously he didn't get the point from the play that he had originally had started, but a play that he originally started on the first few shifts that on the ice for himself would ultimately ended up in a goal for St. Louis.
Right.
And that, I mean, just to see the kids that I mean, granted, yes, they're both first round picks. Snuggerud's a 22nd or 23rd round pick, or that overall pick out of the first
Yeah,
round.
21 or 22. I just saw this the other day.
And then you have Dvorsky, who's a first round pick at number 10.
Hmm.
And I mean, granted, you would probably see a little bit of promise from him more, but you have a guy like Jimmy Snuggerud who's been playing collegiate for the last 3 years, who could have had the opportunity last year, but he said, "Look, Army, I understand you guys want me now, but I need to work on a few things." It
Hmm.
takes a lot of maturity to say, you know what, I really want to be at the pro level, but I still need things to work on. And Army even talked about it a little bit during the Spit and Chicklets
Yeah.
podcast, and he was like, I respected him for it because he knew he needed things to work on. And once the season ended for uh, his collegiate career this year, he goes, you know what? I said I need to work on a few things. I felt like I've worked on them enough to where I can come up and be a part of this team. I
Hmm.
feel like I am ready for it. And I mean, I I I believe him 100% of the word that he's given, because I mean, just seeing what we've seen from him in just 3 games, hats off to the kid.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, but other than that, a little bit else of what happened. I know we've talked about it a little bit in past times, but I mean, we're on a 12-game winning streak, something
Hmm.
that we haven't done at all in the franchise. It's the first time in this season that we've had a team get more than 11-game winning streak, going back to Winnipeg at the beginning of the season whenever they got
Yep.
11-game winning streak to start out. But they have the 12-game winning streak. You have 11 consecutive wins at home, something the Blues haven't done in franchise history. You have two last night for the Blues. Two players that we've seen come up as really big core players, Jordan Binnington and Pavel Buchnevich. They both had significant milestones out of this game. You saw Jordan Binnington had his 10th straight home win, which matches the franchise record in that regard. And then you also have 100th home win as a Blue, which is the most among any Blues goalie. And, I mean, just the testament to that and what we've seen Binnington do in past seasons for the Blues is incredible. And then you look at the forward group with Pavel Buchnevich, who also had his 100th goal as a St. Louis Blue last night as well. And that's, I mean, just the milestones that this team has been coming up with as of late it's awesome to see, and just the buy-in that all these guys have had into this team and the contributions that we've had and the people that, or the players that we brought in that wanted to stay at this with this team and just grow and build has just been incredible to see.
Right. You can't pass that up. And it's so nice to see players like Buchnevich and Binghamton getting their their wherewithals and their props when they were just dogged earlier this year. I mean, like NHL pundits and even some fans of the Blues themselves, they were dogging these guys, saying,
Oh, yeah.
"Why did we sign Booch to this contract? Why aren't we trading Bennington? Hofer's good." There's all these things, all these factors that come in, and now, like the proof is in the pudding. These guys are. This is why they're here. This is why they're playing the spots they're playing because they are proven winners. They're just
Oh, yeah.
another piece of those cogs. Those are, when the dust settles and time goes by, they're going to look back and be like, those guys were really good deals for the Blues. And I mean, huge hats off to Booch getting his 100 goals of Blue, and for Binnington racking up more amazing records. Like this has been an amazing record-setting year for him. All-time Blues winner in it, leads all Blues goaltenders in wins. He's now has 10 straight home win, which is tying a record, and the list goes on and on. Like this is what you love to see, is these guys that you root for, that even though they get, dogged some, like that they're coming up big time. Oh, and I failed to mention the fact that he single-handedly won the Four Nations tournament for Team Canada. That's
Yep.
also another kudos to him. So again, this is great. It's great to be a Blues fan. And again, I love seeing those guys succeed the way they are.
Of course. And I feel like this is another player too that we got to give a lot of recognition to. He's, once he kind of came up into the Blues organization, he had a couple of good seasons, and then you kind of saw him fall off a little bit. He got handed a contract just like Robert Thomas did, and everybody was like, "Oh, he doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve it." But the amount of effort, the amount of work that Jordan Kyrou has put in this season alone. I mean, the kid's at, let's see, he's at 78 games played, 33 goals, 32 assists, 65 points, and he averages close to 17 and a half minutes a night. I mean, to me, the kid is earning every bit of his paycheck. I mean, just seeing him come from last year where he struggled, more or less probably because of him not getting along with Chief, and then seeing how he got dogged by the fans after some of the comments that were made, and just to see how went into the offseason, did the work that he needed to, and even getting guys on the team now like Dylan Holloway who complement his style of play. And you see both him and Holloway pretty much getting almost the same amount of points and goals and assists that they have for each other. And it's really shaping up to been a career high season for Jordan Kyrou. And I'm so ecstatic to see where he's come from, because a lot of people were saying, oh, with his no trade clause coming into effect this upcoming July, you guys need to trade him. You need to trade him fast and quick. And I mean, looking to see where this Blues team is kind of coming about and where they're going. I mean, I don't know if you really do that with how well he complements Dylan Holloway. Would you?
Yeah, who in their I'll be who in their right mind would trade a guy who has scored 3 seasons of 30 plus goals a year? And now he's literally, this is his breakout season. As much as you don't think that way, a guy who scored, 2 other seasons, 30 plus goals, but this is Jordan Kyrou's breakout season because he's become an all around player. Yeah, I'm not going to see him kill penalties. He's not going to do that. He doesn't have that skill
No.
set, and that's fine. But he's going out there, he's finishing checks. That check against Detroit, where he just blew that guy out of the water, that set up the game-winning goal. Like that was
Yeah.
unbelievable. And
Oh yeah.
talk about a turnaround for this guy. He was hated by the fans. Like my brother, he still says, "Oh, I don't know if I really like him." Like it, you can have your opinion, and I love you for it, buddy. But I'm gonna say you're wrong because without Jordan Kyrou playing the way he's playing with Dylan Holloway, you don't get almost 17 points out of Dylan Holloway. You don't get a resurgence from Braden Shen. Jordan Kyrou makes that second line flow the way he does because he leads the charge in the way he does
Oh yeah.
stuff. And like you said, that dedication to the offseason. And right now he is 100% focused on the team and everything that he can bring to that team. And that you always want from any player who comes to the Blues.
Of course. And before we get into standings and stuff for what we're looking like, I do want to touch on one other player, and that is Robert Thomas, because the everything that he's gone through and everything, and don't get me wrong, he hasn't had some of the hate and everything that some of the other players have had on this team, but to come out and get back-to-back seasons with 50 plus assists, he's up on 75 points now, and who's to say in the next 4 games that they have left in the remaining season he could get back to easily to 80 points. I mean, it's just seeing where he's kind of came from the seeing him first come into the team in the 17-18 or 18-19 season, whenever he first came
18-19.
into the team, and see where he has gone from then till now. He's done so well for this team, and you're seeing a star in the making. I will honestly say that without a hesitation of a doubt, because you see players that to that caliber of like the Nathan McKinnons, the Pastas, the Austin Matthews of the league, and you don't see them coming out and doing it like straight away like they do. You takes 3-4-ish seasons a lot of times to see where they get to, but once they do, you really start seeing things kind of starting piling up for those players, and I would say we're starting to see that a lot from Robert Thomas, even a little bit of Jordan Kyrou, and some of the other players on this team that are eventually going to be the new core once some of the old core guys move on from this team. And it just to see where his accolades have kind of gone this season, because once he got injured early on in the season and he didn't get picked out of all of the Canadian players to play in the Four Nations tournament, I felt like that kind of lit a fire under his ass a little bit, and he's like, you know what? You don't want me in there? I'm going to show you what you're missing. And I almost feel like you almost got to put him in the running of probably making it into the Olympic team, just from seeing how he's coming out since even Four Nations break, or even before then, whenever he came back from his injury, that he's shown that he could be in the talks of some of the upcoming elites in this league.
Absolutely. You're seeing the absolute ascension of Robert Thomas. We've talked about the breakthrough of Jordan Kyrou, the emergence of Holloway. This it, be ready, NHL, because Robert Thomas is coming. Robert Thomas is a freight train proving himself that he is elite. And I even said beginning of the year, I didn't know he could be an elite center without like the proper help. I really didn't. But he's got
Well, and
50.
he didn't really have the proper help for the most of the part of the
Right,
season,
right.
and uh,
And
he's getting the right help now, and I feel like that's
right,
why he's getting to be where he is.
right. But 54 assists and your primary goal scorer and Jordan Cairo and Dylan Holloway aren't on his line normally. So
Nope.
he is generating plays everywhere he can. He's playing the best lines and shutting them down. He's winning faceoffs. I think he's at like a 55% click right now. Mark my words, he's a top 5 Selkie Trophy candidate this year. There's no way they
Yeah,
could overlook that.
55%. He's at
55%.
55% for faceoffs.
So he's almost at 80 points. He's shutting down other lines. Like he's going to be a Selkie Trophy finalist. He's a top 5. He has to be this year. If not, then I don't know what's going on with the NHL. And just like
Something's
you said, you hit the nail on the head. He's going to be on the Olympic team next year. He's going to be. He's going to be with Team Canada. There's no way they can, say that. And a lot of pundits around the NHL are saying the same stuff. They're talking about how great of a player he's been and what he does for this team. He leads this team 100%. He's got this team on his shoulders, and his style and his dedication, his sacrifice is what everyone else on this team follows. And that shows. That shows on the record, the win streak, and everything.
Oh, of course. And I mean, just to follow with that, I mean, you have him as one of your top core guys in this team,
Hmm.
and just showing from him, Cairo, Pareko, Shin, all these guys are showing some of these younger guys what kind of game this team plays, and just kind of jumping into a little bit of what these rookies are seeing and how they've come into this team and really have acknowledged what this team plays for, and even have contributed a bit to their own. I
Hmm.
mean, not going to get too far into it because we got other things to kind of cover, but
Right.
we got Zachary Bolduc, who has come out and made an emergence at the second half of this year. You got
Right.
that fourth line forwards too, that who never really over the last couple of years you haven't really seen a whole lot contribution from them. But I mean, you've seen Alexei Toropchenko, you've seen Nathan Walker, and even Radek Faksa all have been big contributing factors to this team winning. And I don't feel like this team would have won as many games as they have in this last little bit of a stretch without that fourth line.
Right. That the WTF line is what they mean to be. They go out there and they're not always going to show up on the scoreboard. We know that. They're
Right.
not going to see that all the time. But what they do is they go out there and they disrupt the living hell out of the line that they go against, which is normally either the number 1 or number 2 line against any other team.
Yep.
And that opens up the door big time for your second and third line, which end up being your bread and butter goal scorers. You don't get 18 goals from Zach Bolduc if he's too busy holding that second line on a defensive point. And you don't get 77 points from Dylan Holloway if he's always having to, shadow one of the better scoring lines. Instead, you get, the Robert Thomas line who draws the first line and shuts them down. If they don't do it, then you got the fourth line going in and they shut that line down because they're absolutely mean. They're devils out there playing against those teams, frustrating those top lines because they can't stand it. But then what that does is that opens up your scoring lines, which is basically your number 2 and number 3 lines. They're coming out there, they're able to contribute at a great offensive clip, which when you have that setup, that's where your 5-on-5 becomes amazing, is because you have balanced scoring everywhere. And these teams don't have a good answer for it.
No. Now, one question I do have, because I didn't really think about this until I saw pretty much a chart of it earlier this week, with the rate that Zach Bolduc is scoring goals, getting points, and along with his other rookie contenders throughout the league. If he would have had a breakout like this, say at the beginning of the season under like a Jim Montgomery, if he would have came
Hmm.
in sooner and had a breakout like he did towards the beginning rather than this last bit of stretch because, I mean, a lot of his points and everything that Zach Bolduc has even scored hasn't been until like the
Hmm.
last few months of the season. I mean, do you see, obviously right now he's not, but if Zachary Bolduc would have had the mentorship of the coach like he does now, do you think he would be in the midst of a colder run with how well he has been playing as of late? Because currently he's, I don't know if Michikov or Celebrini have gotten any goals in the last few days aside from what they were listed at earlier this week. I think
Hmm.
Celebrini was at 20, and Michikov with Philly was at 21. I mean,
Hmm.
currently you got Broberg, or not Broberg, Bolduc, who's sitting at 18. Do you think if, like, towards the beginning of the season, if he would have started out like this, how he is playing currently, if he, I almost feel like he could have been in a colder run if he would have had probably the mentorship and the guidance like he does now at the beginning of the season.
I totally agree with that. I think that if and the only thing that Montgomery ever really told him, I'm sure he gives other coaching, but the first thing he said to him was like, "Man, you're a goal scorer. I want you to go out there and rip it. Just go after it." And he has. He's been on that tear. I think if uh if you rewind back to the beginning of the year, if that confidence was given to him just like that, we'd have him as a candidate for the Calder Trophy. I think he's going to grace that top five. I really do, actually. I think he's coming along, being on a contending team that's going in the playoffs that could be a dark horse Stanley Cup favorite, and he's a major contributing factor to the offense. I think he
But
gets a lot of points in that situation. I still think that it's, between, unfortunately, Celebrini, Michikov, and Hudson for
yeah,
the Calder Trophy. But don't be surprised if we don't see Bolduc push his way in there. He's definitely going to be
yeah.
on the All Rookie team.
Oh,
If he's not
definitely.
on that,
I could
then
see him possibly in like the top five or the top 10 for the
I think so.
Calder.
I think he really gets it. I think people see what he's done, and I think he gets those votes.
Yeah. But with all of that being said, one other thing that I almost forgot to bring up, and speaking of rookies, we did get unfortunate circumstance found out today with Alex or wow
Texier.
Texier that he was going day to day and that Dalibor Dvorsky got called back
Hmm.
up to the Blues. And I think just that, and we'll just touch on this shortly, but I almost feel like seeing how he came in, only got to play for a game, and then get put back down to the minors, and then you see the kid Jimmy Snuggerud come in, and granted, he's probably had a little bit more time of developing his craft and everything in the States and more than what Dalibor has. But seeing him come in and get that first game tryout and then get a second game and get a third game, I would
Hmm.
almost say like that's kind of got to put a little bit of a, I don't know if a chip on your shoulder is the right term for it, but puts a little bit of a bone into Dalibor, like, hey, I want to prove to these guys that I am somebody that can stay up with this team, just like Jimmy Snuggerud, and have a little bit of a competitive drive to want to be able to stay up with this team
Hmm.
after playing a couple of games possibly. But I mean, you going into a very hard stretch like what we're going to talk about here in a little while tonight. But I feel like that could put a little bit of competitive drive into Dalibor Dvorsky to want to stay up longer with this team than just get a game or two here and there and stay and
Hmm.
then go.
It's a challenge for him being a center. You got to That's a
Oh
lot
yeah,
harder. That's a harder nut to crack right now when your centers are playing pretty well. All four of your centers have shown up really well. So for Dvorsky to unfortunately play a game that gets sent down, it's pretty understandable, just basis on the fact of the position he plays. But him coming back up now opens that door again,
of
and
course.
I think, I'm pretty sure that we're going to see him be out there in the last four games at some point. I think he's going to ride it out with this team, and he's going to be here. And we'll probably see him for a game or two, especially to give guys like Oscar Sundquist some rest, maybe Radek Fox, so just kind of move guys around,
Yep.
put Dvorsky in that position to assist this team to get to the finish line and give guys a little bit of a break for the playoffs. So he'll be in there and he'll have his time to shine before the end of the season.
Oh, of course. But with speaking of that and speaking of the playoffs, let's get right into where the Blues are currently sitting. With the win last night against the Colorado Avalanche, that puts St. Louis at 93 points, first wild card spot in the West, over the Minnesota Wild, who currently sit at 91 points because they won last night. So, I mean, looking at this team, and I mean, we've talked about it a lot tonight already, but I mean, I almost seem like with the way that this team is playing, it's putting a lot of the rest of the league on blast and saying, hey, look, we're a team to be reckoned with. And I don't know if you're Winnipeg or Vegas or even LA has a chance with how they've been playing lately. I mean, granted, they're 3 points behind Vegas currently, but I mean, both of those teams still have 5 games left in the season, and I mean, anything can happen in that stretch of a time. So if you're either any of those 3 teams and seeing how the Blues are coming up in the standings, I mean, granted, yes, if you're going to be picked to go up against the Blues in the first round, granted, any team is going to welcome the challenge of it and just go, you know what, we're going to do our best, and if we got to do what we got to do, we'll match it. But I mean, yeah, we haven't had a winning record against some of these teams. I know we've won 2 out of the 3 games against LA. It was 1 of 3 against Vegas, and then Winnipeg we won the season series against. And just the way that this team is going, I mean, you have a chance of potentially making it out of the first round. But my question to you, I guess, James, is, and I know we've talked about this the last 3 weeks, but if we did make it into the first wild card spot and playing Vegas, do you see good odds with this team making it past Vegas or even to the second round? Because it almost looks like, in the Blues case, it almost looked like going the Pacific route would be a little bit easier of a route, or I shouldn't say easier, but not as challenging of a route as if you go into the Central and having the dark horses of Colorado, Dallas, and Winnipeg to possibly contend with in the first round.
My answer is I'd rather see them go against the Knights. I'd rather see them go to Vegas and go through the Pacific route, because I think between either Winnipeg or Vegas, I think Vegas is a little more of a challenge in that first round than Winnipeg, just because of the body of work that Vegas has done. This is a core team that just won the Stanley Cup a couple of years ago, and that core team is still there, and they got better last year when they traded for Noah Hannafin. But they still have, I don't want to say questionable goaltending, but the goaltending is not Jordan Binnington.
No.
It just isn't. Their defense is still one of the best defenses in the National Hockey League. And you also have Jack Eichel, who leads that team. But if you can find a way to peel through that defense, to play that hard 5-on-5 hockey, and you beat them, then you go up against the Kings and the Oilers, which you have good records against both of those teams. Those are not teams that are playing exceptional hockey right now. I mean, LA is playing well, but they're not playing a great game. And honestly, Oilers are gassed. I think they're suffering. They're injury prone right now. You know, it's a shame. They could have used a young defenseman, a young forward that could have helped this team to get through all this, but you know, they didn't get those. So now they're borderline tanking, and it's going to be a tight one for them. But if the Blues end up getting that first wild card spot, I like those chances better to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, because the path through the Pacific is a tad easier than the path through the Central.
Yep. And I mean, even right now with how, I mean, granted you have 4 games left, or actually no, we're even with Minnesota right now at both at 78 games apiece. And so, I mean, right now you're sitting 2 points above Minnesota. And I mean, you have teams like Winnipeg coming up, Edmonton coming up, Seattle and Utah coming up for the final 4 games of the season. And for Minnesota, I think they have a little bit slightly easier of a schedule to finish out the year. But with how Minnesota is playing, I think they're 4-4-2 in their last 10. They're still minus differential in goals. They're sitting on a. They've only won their last game. I think they went on a 2-game losing streak prior to
Mm-hmm.
that, and they're still or they're still dealing with a lot of injuries. So I mean, you have the cards are kind of in your favor a little bit for the St. Louis Blues if you're looking at the big picture of it all, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, they have their destiny. They have taken control, and now they hold the reins. They don't have a team around them that says, "Well, if these following guys lose, then we're in." The Blues just got to keep going. And I saw the other day that it's a pseudo magic number, but what they need is they just need to get 3 more points to beat out Vancouver to get them away from getting a spot from them, and 6 for Calgary. And I think those are definitely, kudos again for them getting as far as they have to done what they've done, to where now instead of them fighting for the lives to get to the playoffs, they're basically in the driver's seat right now. They
Of
are the
course.
chauffeur, and they're taking this all the way to the playoffs, and it's cool. It's fantastic. And now we're going to see what's going to happen. And like you said, this is in their court, balls in their court. They got the driver's seat, the steering wheel, the whole 9 yards. They've got all of it. Now it's up to them to just drive it home.
Yeah. And I mean, even looking in the Central a little bit too, I know we've just kind of talked about a little bit that LA or Los Angeles and Vegas, that top seed in the Pacific isn't really uh, like locked down yet. But I mean, you could kind of say the same for the Central as well with Dallas and how they've been playing,
Hmm.
and the way that Winnipeg has been playing too. That you could have a little bit of a shakeup in either division, really, and the first round could be kind of different for either side. But still, if you're the Blues, I feel like you want to stay where you're at, and I don't see the wild card really changing much more than what it already is. I feel like the wild card is probably set, but
I think so.
division wise for each division for the Pacific and the Central, I feel like things are kind of still could be changed a little bit because Dallas, I mean, they're only 3 points behind Winnipeg, just like LA is with
Hmm.
Vegas. So across the divisions, some things could change, they may not change, but the future isn't quite set in stone yet, and it'll be interesting to see who the Blues match up with in that first round of the playoffs.
Exactly. It's gonna be an interesting fight. That's for certain.
Of course, with getting to that, we have the obviously the last 4 games of the season coming up this upcoming week. We have Winnipeg Jets on Monday at 6:30 p.m. And that one is in Winnipeg. Then Wednesday, you're in Edmonton, and you'll be playing at 9 o'clock on Wednesday. Then we got a little bit of a break. We won't be playing again from that game on Wednesday until Saturday, which we'll be playing against Seattle in Seattle. That game will be at 9 p.m. And then to finalize the season out, we will be playing on the following Tuesday, the 15th, against the Utah Hockey Club at home at 7 p.m. Central Time. And I mean, what a way if they can continue this winning streak and end up closing you out at home. I mean, granted, I don't know if it'll happen or not, but if the way that they've played through this last stretch of the season to be able to close it out at home would be awesome for the Blues.
Absolutely. Wouldn't it be crazy that this team was at 60 some odd points way back in February? No chance to
I think
make
it
the
was
playoffs.
63 points and they were eight
Yeah,
behind.
8
points
behind.
behind the second wild card spot in
They
the
have
beginning of February.
they have an outside chance of finishing with 101 points if they keep playing like this. This is not what
Crazy
I
to think.
expected whatsoever. It's crazy. And like you said,
Oh,
you know, like I don't know if they could do it, but I'm surely not going to count them out that they couldn't do it. I mean,
oh
the
no,
road
not at
trip,
all.
a 3-game road trip against the Jets and the Oilers, followed by Seattle. The Jets and the Oilers, those are some good. I know I said stuff about the Oilers, kind of tanking a little bit, but they can still be a good team. They still have more
Oh,
points than you, so that's neither here
Edmonton,
nor
they're
there.
tied with us. They got 93 points just like we do.
Oh, see, well, there you go. But it goes to show you, though, it's going to be a battle. Like,
Yep.
road games are never the easiest thing to do. So, but again, I'm not counting them out. I'm not counting out that they can't win the next four. It
Oh,
would
of
be
course not. I
amazing.
mean, especially with you're going up against two teams that could be potential matchups going
Hmm.
into the second or third round of the playoffs, depending on where you sit at, or potentially first round. I mean, you could be going up against Winnipeg potentially in
Yeah.
the first round of the playoffs.
Yep.
You could be going up against Edmonton Oilers in the second round of the playoffs.
Hmm.
It's you could really see a little bit of a glimpse in the future, a little bit of with these next two upcoming games of how the playoffs could potentially go for either teams if with these next two games. I mean,
Right.
granted, things could always change once playoffs start, but you're going to get a little bit of a preview this week.
Absolutely.
So, but other than that, any closing thoughts before we close out for the night, James?
Um, you know, dropping out of the Blues, but giving huge props to the grade 8, Alex Ovechkin, becoming the all-time NHL goal scoring champ with that wicked shot, like we were just talking about before the show started. Just a phenomenal goal, and hope he drinks plenty of Diet Pepsis and his hot Cheetos and stuff because he earned it. He earns every second of it.
Of course, yeah. I mean, all of us in VSN and even STL Sports, we were talking about how we were hoping that it was going to be a great goal for him, and he even in the game against Chicago, he was saying that he to the coach on the bench, like I don't want to be out there for an empty netter to
I mean,
grab the record from
good for
Gretzky. That
him. I mean, I don't blame him. I would never want to do that myself. And
mm-mm.
anybody who just wants to score the empty net goal, become the all-time winner, like, what's the matter
Yeah,
with
I
you?
would feel like that would be a kind of a sour taste in the mouth of doing it that way. And
Right.
congratulations to him for not taking up the opportunity and waiting to get even strength or something that you have a goalie contention with to actually get that goal that surpasses Gretzky.
Right.
And I mean, kudos to him and great job and all the
Yep.
congratulations in the world to Alex Ovechkin with getting the sole possession of that record. And I couldn't have been a better guy to do it. I mean, he's been in the league as long as what Gretzky did, and just the way that he held himself and
Hmm.
how he showed himself as an elite player whenever he called the players back out on the ice for Marc-Andre Fleury, and just the way that he held himself in general.
Right.
Hats off to
He,
the guy.
he's a consummate professional. He's a great ambassador for the sport. And I could think, and like you said, I couldn't think of a better person to become the all-time goal scorer. To surpass Wade Gretzky, who is also one of the greatest ambassadors of the game. And now we're having, Ovechkin being a new, another great ambassador. So hats off, huge.
Of course. With that, I don't have really anything else. So, guys, be sure to check out STL Sports channel for all of our pregame, post games, and of course, us on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., depending on how things go, just Sunday evenings. More than likely, you will always see us Sunday evenings at some time or another. But yeah, appreciate you guys coming out and joining us. If you could, that would be awesome. Like, subscribe, and because we're trying to get to 100 subscribers before the playoffs start. Not quite sure if we'll get there or not, but we're trying
We
our
got
best.
2 weeks,
to get there.
people. 2 weeks. We need this.
Press
we can
the
do
button,
this.
and we will see you guys in the next episode. See ya.
Go Blues.